This is a great situation. So I'm fascinated to see where this goes. All right, welcome in. It's the Breer Report for July the 25th. We are now 4 days into my training camp trip. I have hit all 4 NFC North teams. We'll have something on a couple of them here coming up. But we're going to start today's Breer Report. We'll look at the big news from overnight, and that is that the Las Vegas Raiders have released Christian Wilkins. The background here, of course, is that in March of 2024, Wilkins was one of the biggest free agents on the market. He wound up signing a 4-year, $110 million deal in Vegas. More than half of that money was fully guaranteed. And now, less than 18 months later, the Raiders are moving on from him. There is a fight over more than $30 million of that guaranteed money looming. At issue here is his handling of the rehab. He wound up playing just 5 games for the Raiders last year, had foot surgery, and now the question is his readiness, his treatment plan, how all of that went, whether or not he adhered to the Raiders plan. It's a big mess, and it's something that now John Spytek and Pete Carroll are dealing with in their first year in charge in Vegas. So obviously this is going to be something that's going to be going on for a while. Wilkins can still play. Health is obviously a huge question here. But I would assume some teams are going to look at this, especially if the guarantee remains intact because of how the offsets work, and see if there's a possibility that Wilkins can contribute to them for 2025. But this, again, I think is the another example of the fallacy of free agency in a couple different ways. Number one, free agents almost by definition are not core players for the teams that they're leaving. And when you pay them like core players, you ask for these sorts of results. The Dolphins, as much as they liked Christian Wilkins as a person, he was a captain for them, did not view him as a core player, as the type of player that Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer were building around. And so that's why they let him go. That's why they didn't tag him. That's why he was able to get to free agency and go and sign with the Las Vegas Raiders. On the flip side, the Raiders wind up moving on after a year because that money was spent by somebody else. And so when Tom Telesco and Antonio Pierce, who signed him to that deal a year ago, are fired, that exposes somebody like Christian Wilkins to guys coming in who have no investment in him. And so, how this winds up looking in the long term, I think, really will ride on how Wilkins plays for somebody else, if he plays for somebody else this year, and what happens with the guaranteed money. If the Raiders are able to get out from underneath the guaranteed money, then this could wind up looking like a win for them. If they can't, and Wilkins goes and plays plays really well somewhere else this year, then obviously we're looking at something different. But overall, as it stands right now, this is a big mess, and there's still a lot of this story to be told and a lot to be worked out when it comes to the financial piece of this. Our second topic for today, I told you I wanted to cover a couple of the NFC North teams that I saw over the last couple of days. So I do want to hit the Minnesota Vikings, who I think, looking at it, and again, you can check out my takeaways in the Vikings specifically up on the website and then, of course, on our YouTube channel. But if you want to look at where the Vikings are from a global standpoint, like how they fit in with the rest of the league, that is a loaded roster. And just looking at where they're at and how that team's put together and the big names in that team, the Justin Jeffersons, the Christian Darisaws coming back off the ACLs, the Aaron Joneses, the Jonathan Grenards and Andrew Van Ginkels and Byron Murphys and all of these guys that they've invested in. You see one level of it, and then you see another level of it in some of the free agents they invest in that are now there in order to win right now. It's bringing over Will Fries and Ryan Kelly from the Colts to get bigger and stronger on the offensive line. It's bringing in Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave to juice the interior pass rush. That's a team that won 14 games a year ago that has every right to think that they could be better this year. And so that colors why they looked to bring back Sam Darnold for 2025. That colors why they looked to bring back Daniel Jones for 2025. This year cannot be thrown overboard in the name of quarterback development. And based on where J.J. McCarthy was coming out of last year, there was that risk. So they wanted to give themselves a little bit of insurance. They didn't wind up getting that insurance. The backup is now Sam Howell rather than Darnold or Jones in there competing for the job with McCarthy. And I think right now they're viewing that as a blessing in disguise because McCarthy really took steps in the spring, and he's got a ways to go, but he took steps in the spring and found his voice as a leader within the offense. And he was able to take every rep with the first team, which means he got a lot more work than he would have. And so that continues down to the summer. And whether or not JJ McCarthy can make up for all of that time lost, and whether or not he can really buy into what Kevin O'Connell and Wes Phillips and Josh McCown are trying to ingrain in him, which is you do not need to be Superman. You go out, you run the offense, you lean on our run game, you lean on the marriage of the run and pass. We're going to give you screens. We're going to give you a quick game. If you're able to take those layups and just run the offense and just be the quarterback, this is a great situation. So I'm fascinated to see where this goes, because that is a team that is very capable of competing at the highest level, and being there, I can see how loaded that roster is. It's a team capable of competing at the highest level, and they just need JJ to go out and play good football, and I think he's capable of it. Finally, our third takeaway, and this is from the camp I was just at, Green Bay is in an interesting situation. And I see a roster that's balanced. I see a young quarterback that's got a ton of promise that they really like inside that building. And so much of where they are, because they've been a good team the last couple of years, is whether or not guys individually on that roster can elevate and become great. And so looking across the roster, you see the receiver group. You see guys they've been working with for a couple of years, and Romeo Doubs and Dontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed and Christian Watson when he gets back from the ACL. And then you look at the guys they drafted in the top 100, Matthew Golden and Savion Williams. And then at tight end, you see Tucker Kraft, and you see you see Luke Musgrave. Can any of those guys elevate into being really elite weapons from a skill position standpoint? At left tackle, what do they have? Is it Rasheed Walker playing for a contract in year 4? Is it Jordan Morgan, the former first-round pick, moving over? Is it a rookie like Anthony Belton emerging when the pads go on? Can they be really solid at the left tackle spot? Because they've invested in the line and paying Aaron Banks and Zach Tom. And then on defense, they have 4 first-round picks across the defensive front. All 4 of those first-round picks can play. It's Rashawn Gary, it's Lucas Van Ness, it's Devontae Wyatt, and it's Kenny Clark. Can they get more out of Kenny Clark? Can he be healthier? Can Rashawn Gary be a 15-sack guy? These are the sorts of questions with the Packers, and it's what's so intriguing about the team. And then there's the quarterback. Can the quarterback level up? So you see a team that's really good, that's really well put together, that's really balanced. And the question with the Packers now is, can 3 or 4 or 5 young players really kind of take the next step and become elite players? It'll be really interesting to watch. Appreciate you guys coming out. We will put the Breer Report and the video mailbag on a brief hiatus next week. So no Breer Reports, no video mailbag next week. Those will come back the week after. And we're just scratching the surface of my camp trip. So all of my normal video content and print content from the camp trail is still going to be coming to you. Indianapolis is next, then Cincinnati, then Cleveland, then Buffalo. So be sure to keep it locked here. We'll keep the content coming.